It's March, and we have a March early spring storm system that's going to be forming in the Central Plains, heading for the Great Lakes, and probably will cause all kinds of severe weather and tornado activity across the deep south and parts of the East Coast. Which parts, you ask? Well, you'll just have to stick around and find out on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We're probably not going to tell you anyway. You can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast if you choose by doing your Amazon shopping using our referral link that is pinned oh so gloriously on the top of the chat board or oh so famously on the descriptor to this podcast. Just use that link to get you to Amazon. Buy whatever it is you're going to buy. Amazon is going to send us a little bit of coin for sending you there, and it doesn't cost you 1 cent out of your pocket. So only thing you have to do is click on the link, and we appreciate those of you who have and those of you who may consider supporting the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast by shopping on Amazon, because the more you do that, the fewer ads I have to run. And you don't want me running ads during the middle of the show. So, anyhow, yesterday, Mr. Rayo,
Yes.
we were talking last week about the fact that it seems to me about that we're maybe going back into a winter snow cycle like we had in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, which was, paltry, uh, very little snow. Another thing that happened yesterday that made me think that I'm right about this is you and I both remember, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed to me that in the 70s and 80s, I don't remember too much about it in the 90s, but in the 70s and 80s, we had a lot of days in the wintertime where the temperatures would fall rapidly during the daytime. And it seems to me that um, during the last 20 or so years, that really didn't happen very often. But in the 20 years, when I say 20 years, that period where we got from 2000 to 2020, now it seems to be happening again. So I don't know. Maybe I'm overstretching, overthinking this, but I kind of thought that the falling temperatures during the daytime used to happen a lot when you and I were little tots.
Well, what I can tell you, Joe, in terms of your thoughts about temperatures falling, yesterday, 12:58 p.m., we had a temperature here at my house of 60 degrees, and then all of a sudden, the winds picked up, and down went the temperature. Really, a very sharp fall. And in fact, by the time we got to 7 o'clock, we were at a good 30 degrees below where we were at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And yeah, we have not seen that too often, where the temperatures actually fall during the afternoon. You usually don't get that unless you have the surface weather systems kind of teleconnect with the upper level systems, and then everything moves quickly along as the wind shift into a cold northwesterly direction. A lot of times, when I see forecasts that say temperatures falling this afternoon, I don't believe it because yeah, the winds turn into the northwest down here at the surface, but at the upper levels, they're still blowing at a west or southwesterly direction. And so, that with that situation, we're going to continue to remain, temperatures will probably remain steady. They're not necessarily going to fall, but they sure fell like a rock yesterday with this front that came on by again just a couple of minutes before 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
So now this next storm that's going to develop in the Central Plains and head for the Great Lakes Tuesday into Wednesday, that's looking to be a bit of a powerhouse. And I was looking through some of the guidance with regards to the Gulf states. There could be a fairly impressive severe weather outbreak, I think, on Tuesday from say East Texas to Alabama, and then Tuesday night, and then shifting eastward from there. I think the big question is um, how far, SPC's got the slight risk in the long range up to southern New Jersey. So I'm thinking maybe the marginal risk is probably, I don't know, Route 78, New Jersey to about New York City. I'm wondering whether they're going to be pushing that up further north. I guess a lot depends on, whether the warm front is going to be able to fly through. No, I don't see that there's a lot to hold it back.
No, if we had deep snow cover across much of the northeastern states, or not even deep snow cover, just a
The
snow
snow
cover.
cover.
But that's all gone. We had temperatures during this past week, several days in a row of temperatures of 50 or 55 degrees. Yesterday, as I said, before the front came on by, it got to 60. So, in terms of cold air damming, and in order to hold that warm front back, there isn't really much to keep it back. It looks like it will come through later on Wednesday and Wednesday night. Temperatures will probably soar again back up into the 50s. And yeah, the question remains, will we here in the tri state area, will we get into the chance for maybe severe weather? I could see now, in looking at it, some rumbles of thunder, some thunderstorm activity. Whether or not it becomes or tilts towards severe, still to be considered. But the way the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, has been in recent months, where they've had New York, let's say, completely out of the picture in terms of thunderstorms, and then slowly, gradually, they work their way up so that now we're in general thunderstorm coverage. And maybe like the day before or
Right.
a couple of days, all of a sudden, as you point out, we get into marginal and maybe even getting into a slight chance of severe. So that may very well be the story when we get to the middle of this week.
Yeah, I mean they've had the slight risk up to southern New Jersey in the long range from day 6, which is now day 4.
Yeah.
So tomorrow it'll be in the day 3. The day 3 becomes day 2. Oh, there you are. Yes. And the Lord said, "Let there be light," and He provided it.
But I didn't provide it. The executive producer did. I normally don't
Yes.
keep this light on. If you wanted me to light up, if you want, hang on for a
He
second.
sent me he sent me a message on the chat
Turn,
board to
turn,
turn,
Ah,
turn that off.
but it was too dark.
Turn.
It
Well, I
wasn't
can fix.
ah.
lighting.
I can fix that. I can fix that. You want it
I
lighter?
like Joe the backlight.
Here,
You're backlit with the other light. It looks nice.
here. Hold on for a second. There you go. How's that?
I kind of like the other light better.
Ah.
Is that light a problem for you?
No, it's not a problem. But
So, for the
it
good of
completely
humanity,
then it completely defeats the reason why I have this special donut light here.
All right, continue.
Well, you heard the executive producer
yes.
continue.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's do that. Let's continue while you're still living. And we will go to the watches and the warnings and say hello to everybody on the chat board. Welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And those of you lurking in the background, we know you're there. We welcome you too. If you like the show, hit the like button because then Joe gets to ring the well lit bell. Uh, Turn your notifications on so you don't miss us because we're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. and the occasional Friday and Saturday when there is a storm around. So we're starting to see the beginnings of the warnings, watches, and advisories that are going up in the plains. We've got winter storm watches for central and parts of western Nebraska, as well as northwest Kansas and eastern Colorado. We have high wind watches up for much of Nebraska into western Iowa, northwest Missouri, a good chunk of Kansas, northwest Texas, and the Oklahoma Panhandle. High wind warnings are up for eastern New Mexico. Wind advisories in the southwest for Nevada, southwest Utah, western Arizona, and southern California away from the coast. Some winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories up in northern Nevada. In the east, not a whole heck of a lot going on. We also have high wind watches up for the southern half of Louisiana, which is kind of interesting because of the strong tropical southerly flow that's going to be setting up into this developing low that's going to be forming in Kansas and then heading northeast from there. Not a whole lot happening in the east, very, very quiet. A few odd advisories. I don't know what these are. They must be. They're still putting up freeze warnings up in parts of coastal South Carolina. And it's a storm system that's going to be forming in the plains, heading to the Great Lakes and southeastern Canada, and pushing a very strong cold front uh, for everybody uh, pretty much for everybody in the Gulf states and the East Coast.
And that cold front, again, as we've been mentioning, accompanied by showery rains. Now, the other question that has been cropping up is, okay, it looks like it's going to be a wet day for Wednesday, but when will the wetness arrive? And Renata was asking me just yesterday. She wants to put stuff on the lawn, but she wants to know when it's going to rain. I said, you could do it. You could do it on Monday, but it's going to be kind of cold. Tuesday is certainly a possibility. If you wanted to wait until Wednesday, it doesn't look like Wednesday we're going to get anything until probably sometime. I would say midday or early afternoon, maybe a few showers, and then as well as the 50s. We may still be in the 50s on Thursday, I think, and then it will turn toward colder weather for Friday and the start of the upcoming weekend.
Yeah, we don't have a solid cold air mass coming in behind this particular storm. There's not a whole lot of cold air, in spite of the fact, and this is another example of where, you look at certain technicals like the teleconnections and all the rest of it, and we're supposed to be in these cold phases, and it's just not working because the polar vortex of the stratosphere is boiling up near Siberia. So the way the whole upper air is set up is just simply not conducive to bring down. You get these shots like we got uh, today, came in yesterday and today, and will last into tomorrow. But they come in, they play out, and they move out. They only last a couple of days and then gone. A little bit of moisture coming into the west, nothing really to write home about. David Fuller, thank you for hitting the tip jar this morning. And the polar vortex right above me on the model that swings west after the GFS is done. It's not above you. It's like the polar vortex in the stratosphere is way up in the northern Arctic regions, David. But either way, it's not going to be in any kind of helpful position from what I've been seeing. The radars tonight, there's not a whole lot happening, certainly in the east. But here's the beginnings. That shortwave I pointed out is triggering off some showers and thunderstorms around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Joe, I think this might be a good night for you to look at the FGen for
Yes.
using the eastern United States, so we could follow it along the Gulf Coast and in the southeast, and then eventually to the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Some thunderstorms around the Dallas-Fort Worth area and also around Oklahoma City. And you can see on the satellite signature that just like this comma that is moving along, that's usually when you see a shape like that, it's usually conducive to a strong system that's going to develop. In the west, we've got patches of snow up in northern Nevada and into parts of Oregon, also in southern California. We've got areas of rain showers and snow in the Sierra Nevadas. It's not a solid ground of precip. It's sort of, broken in patches, and also up into Northern California. Okay, the Storm Prediction Center tonight has a slight risk of severe weather in that area in extreme southwestern Oklahoma and parts of northwest and north central Texas. It's a very small area of marginal to slight risk and a small area of 2 to 5% tornado risk. Now, tomorrow, they've elevated the risk area for tomorrow. They had marginal. Now they've added a slight risk from north central Texas through central and parts of eastern Oklahoma. The marginal risk pushing up into eastern Kansas, and that comes with a 2 to 5% tornado risk. On day 3, and this is Tuesday into Wednesday morning, they have a pretty sizable area of slight and enhanced risk. Southern Arkansas, much of Mississippi and Louisiana. In that enhanced risk, I think you're going to wind up seeing an elevated 10% or more tornado risk, along with the risk for EF2 tornadoes or higher. The slight risk pushing up into southern Missouri, the marginal risk up into northern Missouri and as far east as western Georgia. And then on day 4 is the still in the long range here on day 4. SPC hasn't really changed this over the last 2 days. Southeast Georgia, eastern half of South and North Carolina, much of Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, into southern New Jersey. And, again, that's the slight risk. So if I'm just guessing from what I looked at today, I think you could make a case for the marginal risk being pushed up maybe to about northern New Jersey, New York City, northeastern Pennsylvania, and points west and south down the slopes of the Appalachians. You know, we'll know tomorrow because then this is going to become day three. Day three becomes day two, and we'll see what they do. I'm not going to be surprised, by the way, Joe, if we see our first moderate risk of the very young severe storm season on Tuesday for those areas in the Gulf states.
Yeah, well, the fact that they have all of this on the long range maps tells you the confidence that the folks over at SPC have in an outbreak. I mean, my goodness, I mean, we've been seeing this, going back, backstepping a little bit. We've been seeing it going all the way back to day 7 that they've been highlighting and promoting this. So it does indeed look like we're going to be in line for some really volatile weather across the southeast and maybe up into the mid-Atlantic region for especially Tuesday into Wednesday. So we'll see how that all plays out. But right now, I think if you were to ask a forecaster at the Storm Prediction Center, they would probably say confidence is high that we're going to see some sort of a significant outbreak of severe weather, possible severe thunderstorms, possible downbursts, tornadoes. That's all in the cards. It would appear for Tuesday into perhaps Wednesday as well.
All right, so here goes the deep upper trough in the east that went through yesterday. Now pulls out, and now of course you've got this, upper low that's moving into the west coast. The lead short wave is this cutoff that's in Arizona. That's going into Oklahoma, and that kind of weakens because you got this stronger upper low coming in for tonight and tomorrow, and that swings eastward into the plains. And you can see there's a really wrapped up upper low here. This is Tuesday afternoon. It's one, two, three, four contours cut off. There's a very strong jet that's coming down around the base of that and shooting up into the middle Mississippi Valley. So, I mean, it's all there for the possibility of severe weather. And the upper low kind of holds its own as it moves up into the Great Lakes, and we get a nice negatively tilted trough that swings through the eastern part of the U.S. For later Wednesday night into early Thursday. And then that's going to just kind of try to lift out, but there's still general troughing. So we'll be on the chilly side overall in general after this system goes by after Thursday. Um, Not exceptionally cold, but not really that warm either, as long as we've got troughing in the east, and that'll carry us into the beginning of next week. Now, on the surface, and then Joe's going to take you through the F-Gen here. I'm going to just go close up on the eastern U.S. so we can get a whole feel for everything plains eastward. And I'm going to use the GFS radar view. So we're actually looking at the radar echoes. So we go into tomorrow. Really, not much goes on tomorrow, obviously. Most of the eastern part of the United States, from the Mississippi River east, is going to have a really nice day. And then here comes that developing low. You see it there. It's a 986 low in southwest Kansas. There's a band of heavy snow, also some rain in there too, in eastern Colorado and into western Nebraska. And you also see how the model is depicting a very active looking radar Tuesday afternoon through Louisiana and Arkansas, and then into Alabama, Mississippi and Alabama during the evening. To me, here in North Georgia, on the overnight with storms down to the Florida Panhandle, and then on Wednesday, it's Virginia, well, even maybe a little bit further north than that, but let's say they're outlining the risk area from southern New Jersey down into southeast Georgia, and you can see how the GFS depiction of the radar shows a pretty wrapped up low. So Mr. Rayo is going to do the F-Gen Shea Bar or Share Bar. Thank you for hitting the tip jar and with the super chat. And you're new to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. I don't recognize your name. Welcome aboard. I'm in the minority, I know, but thank God winter snow is done. 31 years of snow plowing in Yonkers. It's a young person's game. Great show as usual. Thank you so much for the kind words. And yes, uh, I don't blame you. It is a young person's game to do all that plowing.
Everything is a young person's game.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. F Gen us.
And now, do you want the FGen from, let's say, the perspective of the eastern United States?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do it that way.
So we
I'm
can
not
see
going
the
to.
Gulf states. We can see the Southeast. We can see the Northeast, the
I actually got a peek.
Appalachians, the Great Lakes,
I actually got.
plains.
I actually got a peek of this, and I didn't. I was kind of surprised. I think you're going to be a little actually disappointed,
Well,
but
just,
so here is the FGen for. Well, this is as of right now. This is as of 7 o'clock. Okay, I know it's 8 o'clock, but 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just want to remind all of you that this is our final Sunday on Standard Time. And when we change the clocks and move them forward next week, we'll go back on Daylight Time, unless there's a last minute, decision or executive, something that is signed into law that abolishes that. But in any case, this is as of right now, and as we oh darn it, why would anything move here? Hang on for a second. Uh, Now this is actually the 12. I'm using the 12Z
okay.
GFS one, and we're going to go now. This is so here is some FGen down here on 7 p.m. Tuesday evening, down across the Mississippi River Valley, moving up to the Tennessee River Valley, and as we move along, you can see now. Here's 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, and really we don't see much of anything in terms of FGen. There's no areas or contours showing any kind of significant atmospheric. All right, there's one little blip right here in central Pennsylvania, but that's not really what we're looking for. We're thinking that, this would be something more drawn out, something more significant. Now we're beginning to see here in Virginia and West Virginia up to central New York areas of Omega, which suggest that that might be where we could be looking at some potent shower and storm activity. And right here, this is 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. They've got a tight little area right over the immediate tri-state New York area. I'm going to move that to show you in the Northeast. What does that look like here? Yeah, see, literally right here at 7 a.m. on Thursday, there's a little area of FGen. And if we want to back up a little ways, you could see that actually as of 1 a.m. on Thursday morning is down over the Delmarva area. And apparently that lifts from the Delmarva up to New York during the 6 hour period from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. on Thursday. So maybe, just maybe, if we do get any real action, possible thunderstorms, it will come late in the night, Wednesday night, or in the pre-dawn hours of Thursday morning. Because by the time we get to 1 p.m. on Thursday, there's nothing left, really. There's not even any kind of push of really cold air advection, at least not yet. So we may actually, as I mentioned earlier, see temperatures in the 50s on Wednesdays, may still be in the 50s when we get to Thursday. And then, as you notice, as we move through late Thursday and on into Friday, these blue lines indicating the isotherms, indicating colder weather. Here it is, minus 12 isotherm. This would be at 700 millibars as of the end of the day on Friday. So it does turn colder, but not really all that much colder. I mean, not significantly or dramatically colder like what we saw here yesterday afternoon and last night. After that, there's a little bit of FGen here. That would be for Saturday morning. Apparently, there's some kind of a clipper system that's going to be approaching on Saturday, and that may throw a few showers of rain or wet snow our way, but that won't be of any real great concern, Joe.
Take a look at this. I kind of did a double take. This is for the Gulf states. This is the 500 millibar um, map, 18,000 feet. And these streaks you see are all jet streaks, strong wind, the winds at that level. Look at how impressive this is, and you wonder there's no wonder why they have already at least an enhanced risk, and this you don't see this too often. I pulled up a sounding here Tuesday evening near Memphis at the 500 millibar level, Joe. The wind is over almost 100 knots. And
Wow.
there's tremendous amounts of wind shear going on here. I would not be surprised if we have a pretty wicked tornado outbreak with this strong upper low. And these jet streaks get pretty impressive even during Tuesday night into Wednesday morning as they move east. For Wednesday, you can see there's also some jet streaks, not like what I showed you over Memphis, but you're starting to see some jet streaks moving up and down the coast from the Hudson Valley all the way down into eastern North and South Carolina. So you look at this and you wonder whether we're going to, there might be like a broken line of thunder. Certainly for the Gulf states on Tuesday, there's going to be maybe more than just one line of strong thunderstorms. There might be a couple of them with this thing ripping on through, and then maybe a bit of a line of storms on Wednesday evening, running from northern New Jersey or the Hudson Valley. But the stronger ones are probably going to be down in South Jersey, Delaware, into eastern North and South Carolina. It's a pretty impressive upper trough that we're dealing with here.
Well, as we've been saying, I mean, since day 7, they have been screaming for a lot of activity or potential activity for the southeast into the mid-Atlantic for Tuesday, Wednesday. So that certainly is the signature for a very active weather day, Tuesday and possibly Wednesday too, for heavy showers and thunderstorms, and as you point out, Joe, maybe an outbreak also of some tornadic activity as well.
By the way, the European in particular has been pointing to something for Friday and for the 8th, which would be Saturday. And the GFS has been like here, there, and everywhere with it, and it's still kind of here, there, and everywhere with it. It's got something moving along in the northern stream. You see it there on Friday night in Illinois that just basically goes by to the north, and then it's got another low that comes out of the Gulf states and starts to even generate a little bit of snow in North Carolina and eastern Tennessee before that low goes out way to the south. So once again, and there have been several runs of models in the last week or so that were trying to imply some snow for the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states. I just didn't, given the pattern we've had this winter, it was definitely a bet against all the way through. And I didn't see anything today to change my mind on that. If we look at the European, same idea here. It actually has a much weaker, that northern stream system is weaker, it just basically falls apart. And then you see something coming out in the southern stream here that goes off the southeast coast, also remaining very weak. So after this big storm goes by, in general, I think we're going to be in a state of quiet for a little while with just these minor things going through. And then going into next week, after some colder air that comes in over the weekend and into next week, we're probably going to warm up some here because the high is going to go offshore. We're going to have a ridge in the east, and we're going to have a deep trough in the west. You start to see storminess coming into the west coast in a big way. You also see another maybe potential round of severe weather setting up from the lower lakes down to the Gulf states. But this is all like 9 or 10 days from now, so I'm sure we're going to see some changes. But front and center is this animal here that forms in Kansas and heads for the Great Lakes and then runs away to the northeast. I mean, it rains all the way up to New Brunswick and beyond. So there's that tells you that there's not a whole lot of cold air when you're getting rain even up into parts of southeastern Canada.
It's been a disappointing winter, I know, for a lot of you snow lovers, and but and I know a lot of you have already thrown in the towel, but I again remind you of what happened last year. Last year, final days of March and the beginning of April, some humongous snowfalls that were reported across portions of upstate New York and central and northern New England. So I'm not saying it's going to happen again this year, but before you say it's all over, as Yogi say, it ain't over till it's over. We'll see.
You know what's never disappointing, Joe? You mentioned about winter being disappointing. You know what's never disappointing?
Briller Jeopardy.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, and that you have it.
I have it tonight, yes. And Mr. Briller sent me that just a little while ago, and we will immediately go to it as soon as I can pull it up here.
By the way,
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
80 likes so far. Thank you for the 80 likes. We'd like 20 more. If you can deliver 20 more likes so we can get to 100, we would be such happy campers.
All right, so here from Mr. Briller, our chairman, is the game for tonight. He says on this Briller Jeopardy, only for and this is he's calling this a chat board exclusive. Obviously, I cannot participate because I have the answers. I guess he means, Joe, that you too cannot participate. This is solely for the people who are on the chat board. So
Okay.
on this Briller Jeopardy, only 4 snowstorms have produced at least 12 inches of snow in the month of March at Central Park since 1869. Can you name those 4 storms?
Well,
One,
I can name two of them.
one of them is a throwaway, obviously.
Right. So the chat board, that's your job. Uh, John Melander says something in 1996.
No. He's
Jason
thinking of
Fox
the
picks
blizzard.
the
The blizzard of '96 was January, John.
right, but there were some snow. There were some storms in February, March, and April that year too.
Oh yeah.
Um,
In fact, at Central Park, I will tell you right now, in March of 1996, we put down 10 inches of snow total for the entire month. But still, that's significant because I think the normal for March is what, only about 3, 4 inches, and
it's
that
back to five again.
and by this time in 1996, we had already put down like 66 inches of snow, and now we're going to add another 10 during the month of March of '96. So that was a whale of a. I think that still stands for Central Park as the snowiest winter on
Those
record.
are on
75,
record. Yes.
excuse me, 95, 96.
Right. Jason Fox, the 1888 storm is that was a gift in there.
March 12th to 14th, 1888, 21 inches.
Okay, so Harold DeCara says 1993.
You're thinking about Superstorm 93, which actually changed to sleet and even rain in New
Yeah, but I
York
thought the
City.
city got 10 inches out of that.
But we're talking about 12 inches
Oh,
here.
12, 12. Oh, okay, 12 is the cutoff.
Right.
Um, so some people are mentioning March of 2015, Adam Lowe on there.
No,
2018 from Frank Scalera.
nope,
1888 we got already. March of 1967.
no. I
No?
remember 67, but that dropped about 10 inches, not again
Okay.
about.
So I'm going to throw one in there. I'm not sure it's on there, but the Ash Wednesday snowstorm in 1962.
I think that was more of a rain than snow event, at least for New York City,
No,
along
I
with
think it
very
was a
strong
snow
gusty
event
winds.
for New York City, but maybe it didn't get to the 12.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not on there. Rich Rothmansky says March 8th, 1941.
There you go, Rich. 1941, March 7th and 8th, 18.1 inches of snow.
Okay, so what's how many? So that's two of the two we got,
It's
right?
two
Just
out of two out of four.
two out. There's two more. And then March 1960.
March 3 and 4, 1960. Who said that?
Adam Lowe again.
Adam Lowe, 14.5 inches for that storm. Adam.
John Melander is predicting that 2032 will be
I'm
on
gonna,
that
I'm gonna ring
list
the
when we
I'm
get there.
ringing the bell for you for getting that
Oh,
one.
okay. John Melander says 2032, so he's predicting that 2032 will be adding that year to the list. Um, no, not 20. I'm not sure if the three is probably the typo. March of 58.
58, in the Cosa and Ussolini book, they talk about the blizzard of 58, but that did not drop 12 inches
Okay.
in New York City. I also saw in 1956, there were two storms that hit New York within 2 days of each other. The first one on March 18th, I believe, dropped 4 inches of snow. By the time the second storm started 2 days later, we still had about a half an inch of snow, but it was more ice than snow. And now the new snow is falling on top of the ice. And the forecast for that second storm was for just flurries. And it turned out we got like 14 inches of snow out of that.
What year was this?
That was 1956. And you want to know
56.
what? You want to know what?
What?
He doesn't have that on the list. I think he should. That second
Okay.
storm, I believe, dropped more than 12 inches of snow in 1956. Now, I wouldn't know because I wasn't going to arrive for another four months or so, but
All right. Patrick Darcy mentions the Great Appalachian Storm of 1950.
that storm was November. It
Okay.
was a November storm.
All right. So I think we've taken enough guesses. Why don't you just fill us in?
March 1st and 2nd, 1914, 14.5 inches.
Okay. Was there one more or that's it?
That was it.
Oh, okay. All
Again,
right. So
to
we
go
got
down the
those first
list,
four.
1988, 21 inches, 1941, 18.1, 1960, 14.5, and 1914, also 14.5 inches.
Okay. That's it with the questions.
No, the second and final question of the night is, when was the last time that Central Park recorded at least a 6-inch snowstorm?
In
The last,
March.
no, actually,
Oh,
this is
a 6-inch snowstorm.
yes. When
Uh,
was the last time that we had a 6-inch snowstorm recorded at Central Park?
I think you have to go back to was it 22?
22, yes, 2022.
February of 22 or January of 22?
January 28, 29, 2022,
All right.
8.3 inches. This
Okay.
is why this is why they're so sad, Joe. It's now been more than 3 years that
Yeah.
Central Park has had at
Well,
least a.
listen, 1970, you had to wait till 1977. I'm sorry, you had to wait till 1978 to get a 6-inch snowfall. You had to wait nine. No, I'm sorry. Take that back. I'm wrong on that. I'm sorry. You had to, from the 69 Lindsay snowstorm, 70, 71, 72, 73. You had to wait, I think, till 1975 before you had a 6-inch snowstorm. You had to wait 6 years. It's not the first time we've had a drought like that.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, but it happens.
Yeah, here's getting back to that. Getting back to that now, Scott, if you're listening, Scott, if you're listening, and this, actually, what may have happened is that this may have been not over a single day, but well, no, actually, the other storms were more than one day. So yeah, Scott, check this out if you're listening, because he did not have this on the list. I wrote for a publication that's going to be coming out in 2026 about this. What some might refer to as a double whammo snowfall took place during the March 16th through 18th time frame in 1956. The first storm on the 16th deposited at Central Park 4.6 inches, which had melted down to what I call a slip cover of a half an inch of ice, just as that second storm roared in on the 18th. Local forecasts called only for flurries, but in the end, 13.5 inches of snow accumulated at Central Park, and many travelers became stranded. So that actually may be a fifth March snowstorm with 12 or more inches of snow. March 18th, 1956.
All right. You learn something new every day here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So we'll call it a night, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m. Eastern time. And we got 95 likes, Joe. We just fell 5 shy of 100. Was hoping we would get to 100, but we only got to 95. Now some smartass decided to unlike us and take us down to 94. So On that note, we better quit while we're behind, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night.
Good night, folks. See you tomorrow at 7:35. And Ruben says, shave off your goatee, Joe.
I'm not shaving off my goatee. Why would I shave it off? What the hell are you to tell me to shave off my goatee? Are you my, you're not my mother. And I didn't care even if she did tell me to shave it off. Oh, I got 3 extra likes out of that. 99.
We got 99. And you want to know
99.
what? I'll bet you somebody's going to hit 100 with the next.
Well, I hope so.
I hit
guess they
100
liked
on
it.
mine.
I guess they liked it that I yelled at Reuben Fairchild. If you liked it, I liked it. If I yelled at Reuben Fairchild, hit the like button. We'll see everybody tomorrow night.
Good night, folks.
Bye.